in terms of the pay difference between the genders in a partnership or in a couple, does that determine the voice in the house as well? So does that change?
No.
So in terms of, what do you think though? Because in terms of
I'm only going to speak from what I know from close friends of mine. It takes away the bass in your voice.
Okay, so we decided to put this panel together, the show together, because I think the recent killing of George Floyd sparked a lot of controversy around the world. It sparked a lot of conversation, it sparked a lot of emotion, and us in particular, we've got like a real soul bond. Yeah. So we'll have a conversation and it will start off with, how was your day today? And then we'll end up around the world. We've talked about relationships, we've talked about money, we've talked about why we don't gel. And just ridiculous. Yeah. You know, so we wanted to quantify it if we could and put it on film so that we can have real conversations about real topics that touch people's heart and soul. We also want to make it an educational show, don't we? So we want to look at black economics. We've got this show sponsored by WorlMag. We're going to look at business. Yep. We're going to look at like finances,
culture, music.
Absolutely.
All of it. So much things we're going to
taxes. Accounts Navigator has sponsored us, so she's going to come in and talk a little later about what to do in your business
Mental
and various
health.
Easy, Angela.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to talk about so many things. Yeah, sex.
All of that.
But in the meantime, as you can hear,
not now.
not today's show. But as you can see, we've got a lot of subjects to cover, and we're going to be inviting a lot of people on the show to talk about the actual subjects itself. So it's not our opinions. You'll be hearing professional opinions from professional people, and we're giving you phone numbers, guidance where you can go to, counsellors, all sorts. So it's a show to really kind of tune into, because we are keeping it 100% real.
It's all real
and
round
in the efforts
here.
of realness, if people asking why am I always touching my face, it's melting off in there.
It's hot.
So, it's hot.
Salt.
Yeah.
Studio settings.
But to be fair, we've been having these talks from way before this pandemic and before the George Floyd situation. We've been talking about doing something like this from ages, because I know between all of us, me and this guy.
Wow, we've been discussing this thing from 2006.
Yeah.
It could even before that. We started a thing called Tommy Dynamite in like what?
That was 99, bro.
99.
Yeah.
And we always had that vision of bringing our culture, as in what's happening in our culture, in our environment, out in a wider audience. So in that respect, we've something we've been talking about for years, and that's transitioned.
And me and Trish, boy, it's a mad story, because we never used to get on.
Absolutely. Julia couldn't stand my guts.
I didn't know this.
It wasn't that
you didn't
bad.
like me either.
It wasn't that bad.
Let's be real.
No, I wouldn't say I didn't like you. It was misunderstood.
Yeah.
I'd never say I don't like people. It's just misunderstood, and I can understand why, because when it comes down to meeting people off the cuff, sometimes you kind of misunderstand them until you get to know them.
It's communication. Sometimes you're thinking it's one thing, it's another.
It's bravado,
you know?
isn't
You know
it? But there's none here now.
No
so
bravado. It's all on the table.
That is why it's called No Bravado.
Yeah.
Right, the topic. Who raised the topic? This
So
series?
we put something on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, and it was, why aren't marriages lasting like our grandparents' generation?
Would you say more parents? Though? Grandparents is like one after us, isn't it? Like you got us, then you got.
All right, so
our
parents and
you got
grandparents.
I
would say grandparents, because I
think
grew up in a
Jay's the
single.
right man to talk about this.
Oh, thanks.
I grew up in a single household. So.
Jay's the right guy to talk about this. You know, to be fair, I think that our parents and our grandparents put up with a lot more, or were prepared to put up with a lot more. So it wasn't all about love, feelings, and emotions. It was actually about stability and family. But within that, you know, I remember my grandma, when she married her last husband, it was all rosy for the first how long? But after that, it really kind of just went pear-shaped.
Yeah, I think.
But they still stayed together for years after, and it was just because, you know, in her head, that's what you do. You get married and you stay with that person.
I'd say more mums had more responsibility keeping the family together while the dad was out there being a breadwinner. So with that, it caused, whether they was getting on or not.
So you're saying
everyone had a duty.
them times it was more roles. There was
there's roles, yeah.
set roles that kind
Gender
of
roles.
gender roles, which
Yeah, definitely.
have definitely been switched in this day and age, isn't it?
No, but you got to look at it this way. Good thing we've got ladies on the panel. Women were more, back then, was more seen to be at home with the kids, raising the kids and such like. Now the women of today, they're more go-getters, which I love. They're out, they're doing their thing, they're doing equal as the man. That's why you're getting all these things coming up. Oh, women are not paid the same rate as men and all the rest of it. So in that respect,
Facebook user, I'm not going to call out names because I haven't got permission, but I think people see length as a sign of success. But how many people are in these marriages are actually happy? Now, this is a young person that I actually know.
Wow.
And she's a young person, yeah? But her perspective is amazing. She comes from her mama. Said in these marriages that last 20, 30, 40 years, I feel like a lot of marriages in the past lasted longer as women had no options.
Yeah.
They didn't always work, couldn't open bank accounts without their husband's approval, and houses that were in their husband's names, yeah? Some couldn't even drive. So if you were unhappy, how could you leave? You had to stay there. Because
I still got my
grandpapa's...
opinion about women driving. I don't think women can drive. But anyway,
Oh, right.
that's just my opinion.
You have never driven with Natalie. Lord have
Or
mercy.
me.
All right, let's get back to what we were saying. I just thought that in.
She said, so if you're unhappy, how can you leave when you have no way to support yourself? I also think that people value happiness more than they value what the community and family would think of them if they get divorced. So they would just stay, basically, because they don't want to be judged.
Definitely.
However, I think that people now have many choices and no one actually know what they want and always feel like they could do better if the next person will be worth it. Relationships are work, and I do think that people don't always want to put that work in anymore. However, I do think people deserve love, and it doesn't require suffering and betrayal before a person realizes how much you mean to them.
Yeah.
Because in the olden days, back in those days that we're talking about, how many people do we know that's got outside picnic?
Right.
And
Yeah.
are we putting up with that now?
No.
No.
I think it's still happening now, to be honest. The only thing now, it's more seen,
Eyelash.
women have got more choice where they can walk away from it. Where back then, you couldn't. You're committed, you've got a house, you might have come over in the Windrush times, you've come over together, you don't know, you ain't got many friends, and things are totally different. If you had a job, you had to really work hard to keep your job.
It's true. I mean,
There was an element of racism as well, so you're fighting a battle between both of you.
you had to
Now,
have a man in the house around those times.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You had to.
Like 6 or half a dozen of the other, because I think half of it is we're not putting up with the things that we used to put up with. We're just not, because we don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to.
But then at the same time, people are not putting the work in that they used to, because everything else outside of the home is so accessible. So everyone is always looking outside instead of what's inside.
I agree with
Social
that.
media, just the fast pace of the world at the moment in general.
I think social media is a big part of it as
Absolutely.
well. Because
Yeah,
boredom.
Facebook is divorce book.
All right, for example,
Divorce book.
if you're in a relationship, your relationship ain't going too well, you have had an argument in the night, he's downstairs, you're upstairs, you can easily go on your phone upstairs, and before you know, you're in a conversation. What's making you blank out what's happening downstairs?
You're in a
isn't it?
situationship.
Social media is definitely like it's always your best side, isn't it? That's the problem. You know, very few people put out what they're really going through on Insta. Insta's supposed to be like that happy place where I'm living my best life at all times. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when your partner or yourself are flicking through these things, you're just seeing the best scenarios of all these situations. You're not seeing the real life, you know what I mean? You're not seeing the dishes and the washing and the kids and the you're just seeing out and doing things and date night with hubby and da-da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da.
Question I'm going to fire to Natalie. Do you think social media is a kind of tool to deter or take away that kind of, if your household ain't too working right?
Like a distraction.
It's a distraction, yeah. Is it a distraction that can cause you to have a relationship on the phone with no strings attached?
For me personally, no. I think it's a cop-out. So I think when people go, things are not working at home, and then they're DMing 500 women or 500 men because things are not working at home, I think that's weak.
Straight.
Okay.
Week. I think it's week. Fix your house first, and then go outside. And if it's not worked after you've tried to fix it, then leave. Why is it a case that you have to kind of go outside of the home through social media and try and find something to kind of subsidise yourself through? Then try and fix it. If you can't fix it, leave.
But I think we all say in a relationship, if it's not working right, we leave.
Yeah.
How much times have people left relationships and before you know they're back in a relationship? The same.
Left and don't look back.
Don't look back. On a serious breakup level, yeah. But how much times have you been through a situation with your partner? You know it's not going right, and then then you get that phone call, and then you're like, let's work at it again. Do you think sometimes is it a routine that you've got into why you ain't drawn away from it? And then social media, with the help of social media, you got more time to like, it's not working.
It could be that. It could be the fact that the situation is that really you wasn't even supposed to be with a person in the first place. So the routine is you've entered that situation on the pretense of what you think it's supposed to be, and then you're there, and then it doesn't work, whatever. But then maybe you still have connections or energies with other people in that are more real. Do you get what I'm saying? But or at the same time, I think it's just we just live in a life of options where now there are so many different ways to do different things. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So more than where our parents were like, okay, cool, you know, the Windrush generation, they came over together. They made a home together. You have to have a man in the house. Like our producer said earlier, there's certain things you can't do unless you've got a man in the house. You know, you're surrounded by racism, so you have to, you know, that muscular, manly kind of person in the house needs to be there for you to, you know, to look like a family, to get through certain bits and pieces.
But do you think it's also because, remember back then when they came, go back to Windrush, they came over, they worked together as a team. Whether the team was breaking down behind the scenes, they had to see it on the outside to be shown it's a team. Because obviously, like, you're buying simple thing like furniture, you're buying it together. So if this costs £100, whether the breadwinner put 70 and the other put 30, it was still the same case. Now, a woman could look at you and say, I don't need your money, I'm going to go and get it.
That's real talk. That's real talk. But at the same it's mad, you know, because even where we are now, it is definitely about what a woman can do for herself. Yeah, definitely. Versus what a man can do.
They've made it that way, innit?
Technology is a big part to play in this thing.
It is.
Because the routine used to be, like you said, gender roles. So it used to be a man goes to work, he leaves maybe the house at 7:30, 8 o'clock. He doesn't see or speak to his wife until he comes home. Because there's no mobile phone. There's no like, what are you doing, blah, blah. There's no Instagram. There's no FaceTime, whatever, blah, blah. So literally, you got, 9-10 hours out of the house without seeing your partner or your spouse or your wife. You come back, dinner's on the table, you mingle with the kids for a couple of hours before they go to bed, and then you do the whole thing again in the morning. So really and truly, your time with your partner or your wife is a few hours every night and weekends. And then weekends is certain chores, isn't it? So that, you know, you do the garden on Sunday, Saturday, you might go see friends, blah, blah. And then it's the week again. Do you get what I'm saying? So there's no, really and truly, I know some people that didn't even actually really know their partner.
Like 5 kids.
Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, I'm going to throw the red herring in.
10 hours when there was no.
Well, I'm going to throw the red herring in there. I'm going to throw it in there then. So we got to blame the women then. Because they got independent. Yeah, let's keep
Someone said that, feminism.
Hold on, it's no bravado. And it's real around here. We got to blame the women. Women became independent. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's great stuff. Love it. But at the same time, when the women came independent, they wanted to go to work. So things changed now. So then in came early classes.
See that early part though? That early part was confusing because you wanted to be seen as equal, but at the same time you still wanted chivalry to be a thing.
All right, but
so you still wanted your door open. You still wanted man to pay for dinners.
But why does there have to be why does there have to be?
I don't think it's not that there has to be, but I think the message was confusing in terms of what you actually wanted.
All right, let's be real, because I look at some of the relationships in my family, the elders' families. There was gambling was a factor. So there was people that had no electricity. light switch off, dinner by candlelight, have to feed your kids
But
in
man's
the
out
dark.
playing
Yeah.
poker.
Because man's out playing poker or poking. Yeah. So we had to. He was like, no, but it's
He's
true.
out there poking.
He was poking or playing poker or doing whatever the case may be. So it gets to a stage where if you have to provide for your children, you do not want to feed your children. It's cute at first.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to have dinner by candlelight. But when it becomes a
Every
regular
day.
occurrence, that's a
Dinner.
problem.
Yeah.
We have to work. So there are some men that were men and looked after their household and done what they needed to do. And those women were happy putting on their pot and being the housewives. But then there were some men that weren't doing what they were supposed to do, and they went out there and they got their jobs because they've got a family to look after. Bottom line.
Yeah.
So it was never, I don't think, cut and dry across
But then,
the board.
but then also there's if you look at it also in the sense of maybe classism as well, the black family evolved from just being someone who survived in Britain
To
and having a
actually achieving
house
things,
to actually, let's buy another house. Let's get a car. Let's get 2 cars. Let's go on holidays. You get what I'm saying? So it turned from actually being a breadwinner to pay these bills that come in on a regular basis to actually no, we want to do more. And I think that came maybe the generation before us, if that made sense. Like in terms
I think
of
the generation
wanting more for so rather than just the normal routine of okay, work 9 to 5. Now actually, the woman's going to get a job as well to combine income so that we can do more for our kids. And then, like you said, it was on the flip side. Maybe some women just had enough of the poking and poking.
Like
and
what?
no food,
I'm going to
and
work.
no
I'm going to
money.
put food on the table, and I'm going to look after my family. And
You
you could
kids
just
out here to raise.
But as a mum as well, you don't just want to be someone's wife or someone's mum. There is a part that you need for yourself. The same way you don't just want to be a husband or a dad. You are Jay, you are Dodd. Outside of that, you need something for yourself. But if you look at that situation, if the woman's at home all the time whilst you go to work and she hasn't got anything outside of that, where is her sense of identity? Where is her sense of purpose outside of being a mum and a wife? It's boring, and there's nothing is for you. And
But do you think that's down to finance as well? Because remember, if your husband was a breadwinner, not say you have to ask him for money. He might be the kind of man which comes to put all his wages on the table. Which, when I was growing up, that's what I heard a lot of. Men, a lot of men worked, put a lot of their money on the table, and kept their little bit for themselves to buy their little drinks and go Domino's and all the rest of it. But was it a thing that after a while women just thought, you know what, I've had enough of this. I need to have my own income. I don't want to be asking my husband, oh, can I get a nice pair of shoes?
can I?
No, I don't. Sorry, to cut you. I don't think it's that. I don't think we just. As a strong and independent woman as I am, if I've got a man that's an effective leader, I've got no problems letting him lead. All women, well, I'm not going to talk for all women, I talk for myself. For me as a strong woman, as an alpha female, I would describe myself, I still want to, as I said this on Facebook the other day, I still want to be made to feel like I'm looked after. I still want to be, I
Sounds so cute, innit?
No, I do. I still want my man to be a man. Yeah. I still want my man to be like, listen, and I listen. do you know what I mean? I still want, you want that balance. You absolutely want that balance. It's not that, we just want to be done away with men and that's it. But if you've got men that are just not doing, it's like the Pied Piper. You want me to follow you into the river and drown and dead? Why? Yeah. You can't drown and dead by yourself.
The question I'm going to ask you now, as an independent alpha female,
which
is very intimidating towards...
Why?
I like 20.
Yeah.
To a man that ain't as chest up in the air, he might be a situation where he's got a decent job. He works all right, but you're Mrs. Go-Getter. You've got your own business. As far as in his eyes, you're doing well and all the rest of it. He might be looking at you, I think she's a diamond, she's a princess. But on the table now, there's a shift of balance.
He's punching now.
He's punching. He's punching. And you're the heavyweight champion. No. And he's thinking to himself that I can't punch. Do you think you do things to make him feel that he can punch with you?
If he wants to punch, he'll punch. And there's, I'm not going to call their names out of respect, but there's a couple that I know, and she's the main breadwinner. And he is, I just think everyone should be like him in this position. Seriously.
See, that's the word you just used. And I'm going to pick you out on that. In his position.
No, in this position, because she's the main breadwinner, he doesn't let his ego overtake that.
Okay.
So what he does, he earns what he earns, she earns what she earns. Yeah? He's like, babe, you're better with the finances, go on, go do your thing. Because of that, they've got houses, they go on holiday, they live a great life. And he's not like, I'm the man, so I have to be in charge of everything. He's got his flip-flops on the beach, living his best life, because his wife is the breadwinner and is better with money. But it doesn't make him any less a man.
Because it's not just
Doesn't make him any less
financially.
Do you think that's adaptable nowadays? Is that more acceptable now? Because back then, a man had to be a man.
Yeah, it's definitely more
But he is still a man. I think he's a smart man.
I'm not saying now.
I think
Now
as
that's more
a,
acceptable.
as a culture, we're still in transition to that.
Yeah.
Because it's been so much the other way for so long, and the expectations of a man has been the expectations of a man for so long. And remember, you know, if we're taught by our dads or by our uncles or whoever, that's what it is, isn't it? Like, you go out, you do this, rare, blah, blah. So, you know, so I agree with him in that sense. Like, you know what?
He's
You know what?
pretty.
If that's what it is, and that's keep it real still.
And
But there's a lot of people who still who find it
It's true.
difficult.
It's also
to kind
taking
of,
into consideration where we're at.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, I don't know if I'm wrong, but this is my opinion, I feel like there are a lot of opportunities in terms of more income if we want to go out into the working world in the health and social care. You've got black women at the top of their field. Black men, I think, go through a lot more. We go through a lot as black women.
Definitely.
Trust me, if you open your mouth and you're straight talking, you're aggressive,
Mhm,
you're
mhm,
angry,
mhm.
whatever.
Intimidating.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But I think black men go through it just as much or more. Do you understand what I mean? So the opportunities that are afforded to us because we're seen as less intimidating than you guys. At this stage now, if we're going out to work, we might be in a better opportunity to get
definitely,
higher paying roles.
definitely.
So
without a doubt.
Definitely.
that doesn't mean then that I don't take up a guy that's got a less paying role than me, but he's got to be in the mindset to be like, okay, she earns more than me, I earn this, but we're going to strive together to do.
Well, like you said,
This.
it's still the same thing. It's still ultimately building a home in it. So regardless of whether the income shift has changed from the gender roles, it is still building a home, isn't it? Do you get what I'm saying? So so on that, yeah, you're right. But like I said, I think that's it's gonna take time for it to be transitioned into a way where that's just the norm. Like, you know,
It's definitely not normal.
whoever
Because I find now, I think even the younger generation, it's a bad thing to say. I think the younger generation's got it worse because they're saying if a man ain't got no money, forget it. He's out in the cold.
But that's all about, I think it goes as individual women, what you value. So what are you looking for in a man? If your set standards are a certain amount and this and that, then that's fine. But sometimes if you're looking for something deeper and it's not just about the money, it's about the mindset, how they treat you and stuff like that, then you're not really looking at that.
Well, leading off from there, I've got to ask a question.
Go on.
Both fly high women. Both got your careers in front of you passed out. What do you lot look for in a man to meet your criteria? And let's not keep it like.
We've got a 5-minute wrap up, so I don't think I can say what I need to say in 5 minutes.
We could take it on another episode, but at the moment, just fit in what you can fit in for now.
I'm going to throw in a Facebook comment, right?
Swerveboard.
Swerveboard.
I'm going to throw in
No provider.
No, I'm going to throw in a
thing. Swerveboard, but go on.
Someone said, this might sound controversial, but I would say that many women of today are stronger in the home, work, business than some men out there. Men, boys are still trying to find their purpose. So with that said, I need a man who knows himself.
Yeah.
I don't fully agree with that statement. Because like what you said earlier, I think
He's on it.
and it's not even for the reasons that you think. I think a black man in this country right now has a lot to deal with, more than just the fact of how much he's going to earn. He has to deal with the institutional racism that he has to face. He has to deal with the way that he's viewed on road. He has to deal with community. He has to deal with law and police and enforcement and so forth. You get what I'm saying? So there's so much. And yes, he has to find a balance in that. Like you said, I think in this day and age right now, a woman's going to get further because as much as you say the same things, you raise your mouth too much and it's, you're aggressive, blah, blah, people are probably more prepared to put a woman
Absolutely. You guys,
in that situation than a guy.
black men are the threat therefore you are now under siege. Bottom
Yeah,
line.
and
Bottom
literally
line.
you have to deal with all those even before you think about some of the day-to-day situations. You get what I'm saying? You know, as we go out, there's so many different things that we have to deal with before we even think about the fact of well, how much am I earning and what am I. You get what I'm saying? So I yeah.
But then I think it's about communication as well.
100.
Because I feel like if you guys go through this, what stops you from saying to your woman, this is where I'm at, this is how I feel vulnerable. What's wrong with that? Why can't we just...
Depends.
You see,
It depends.
men with ego, a woman would never understand it. A man's ego is 50 times bigger than a woman's ego because we've always got installed in the back of our mind we're meant to be the breadwinners. So when you're not seen to be that person, you seem to be a weaker person in the community. Now, a lot of black men who've got their chest up in the air are now speaking out and saying, maybe I've got a problem. But that's only of late. And I think it's going to take a lot of years before we can even...
It's
See
worth
that
having a
ego
normal
you
conversation.
speak about? I think that's what leads to mental health. Because you don't speak and there is that bravado. There is that bravado. Do you know what I mean? And we've got to live up to this. Whereas I feel like if we could just break down the barriers between the black man and the black woman and be real, take away the bravado, take away the ego, and let's build together. But this society that's put this expectation on you and us.
Yeah, a lot of it is by design
that
as well.
you- yeah, that you
A lot of
live
it is by
into,
design.
that you can't talk to nobody, and then that's how the mental health rates
A lot
is
of
in
it,
our,
a lot
in
of
our
it is by
society.
design as well. To
And
be fair.
We've got a 2 minutes wrap up, guys.
So yeah, basically, what I look for is what my nan would say: just no pappy show.
It's true. And we got to go back to basic words like
Yeah,
no
like,
puppy show.
no,
where
that's it.
a man understands no puppy show means no puppy show.
Yeah.
And on saying that, I think what we need to also do, men, also women too, we need to have someone that you can talk to at all times about all
100%.
subjects. I think a lot of us as men might have a one bridging, but if you tell him something, he's gonna laugh. If that's not a bridging,
So just quickly, and you're right with that. You're 100% right with that. Circle is everything. But just quickly with that, in terms of the pay difference between the genders in a partnership or in a couple, does that determine the voice in the house as well? So does that change?
No.
So in terms of, what do you think though? Because in terms
well,
of
I'm only gonna speak from what I know from close friends of mine. It takes away the bass in your voice. I'm telling you. It takes away the bass in the voice. Like, for example, say, if you're going shopping, you're not the breadwinner, you might decide, well, you know what? The lads are coming around, I'll create a beers. What? Them need some meat and chicken. Oh, all right then, love. Because you're not the breadwinner. See, I think as much as
Do you know what? It's true.
It's true.
it takes away the bass in your voice.
yeah,
It's true,
I'm glad you
because
said
you
it's
can't-
true.
We've got to wrap.
Sorry.
We're going to have
Look
to...
at the rap. Okay.
Go on, last one.
last
Go on,
point.
Nat, go on.
I
Nat.
agree, only because me and my ex-partner, when we used to shop, we get paid different times of the month.
So you've got-
we would shop together on my pay, then we'd shop together on his pay. I'd shut my whole mouth when we were doing his pay shop, and he'd shut his whole mouth when we
That's
were
right.
doing my pay shop. So I get
It's basic. It carries bass in the voice.
in my head, I'm thinking you're getting tuna again.
Okay, right. on my shopping day, you're eating steak. You're eating red bone steak as well, and rib bone steak.
and
On
then
my
shopping
shopping
day,
now, you're buying
corned beef
tuna.
and rice.
No. So it does. As much as we try to kind of push it one side, it does carry a major influence.
It just depends. Like I said, combine the income.
Push up the bass and turn down the treble.
Combine the income, and the income is one base.
So on saying that, I think it's time for us to bring it to a close.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to leave it on bass in your voice.
I need to see some comments on this one still.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you for tuning in. No Bravado. The only show where we keep it real around here. But remember, no bass in your voice if you're not the shopper. All right. See you next time.
Tin pan sold.
Hi Andrea.
Hi, Trish.
Thank you for agreeing to do this. This is a section that is sponsored by Day Magazine and your company.
Accounts Navigator Associates.
So tell us a little bit about your company.
Okay, I set up Accounts Navigator back in 2003. So I've had my practice now for coming on 17, 18 years. And it's grown over those years.
How has it grown? What kind of business do you do?
Okay, so literally my practice, originally it was me on my own. I worked between 2003 and 2011 by myself, doing 18-hour days, 7 days a week. Right. Then I started taking on a team and have built the practice since then.
Yeah, you've been my accountant for the last 8 years. And I was saying earlier that I think that you're a fantastic inspiration. And I call you the Arx Jeeves of finance. So anything that I need to know, I'm like, I don't even worry about it because Andrew would know, my accountant will know. I've got that much faith in your ability. Good. So tell me why, well, let's tell the audience why an accountant is essential for a limited business or for any business.
A business, generally. Basically, it's just making sure that by law, you have compliance that you have to do when you have a business. So right. You have to have your accounts done. You have to submit them at certain times. You have to submit your VAT returns at certain times. You have to, there's laws and regulations when you set up a business that the government expects you to abide by. And I'm the person that makes sure that gets done on time, all the time. But in my practice, we don't just work on compliance because we call that compliance. We deal with helping businesses to grow, and that is our main aim.
And how do you do that?
Okay, so for us generally, our main aim is you need to understand your figures.
Absolutely.
So we spend a lot of time talking to our clients. You'll find there's a lot of accountants out there that you'll only see them once a year when they need to do your year-end processes for you to submit your compliance. For us, we want to talk to you on a regular basis. Yeah, we want to know about your business, how your business is doing, what it's doing, so that we can help your business grow. Right. Every business owner needs to understand the numbers and you cannot grow your business without knowing your numbers in your business.
And you talk about that?
Yeah, for me it's really important. I mean, my background was in law firms and investment banking before I set up my practice. And for me, I was a management accountant, and that was my main aim. Management accountants are there to build the business internally by understanding the business figures, and helping that business to grow based on doing management accounts on a regular basis to understand the figures of that business, and that in turn helps your business grow because you know what to do, when to do it, and why to do it.
Okay, so as a creative, because I can be a creative person, and like I said, it's you that taught me to be like, well, I need to understand. Don't give it to me unless I've got a receipt. Why are you spending that penny? Mm-hmm. What is it to? What's your budget? And what account does it go to? So, but many creatives, they just want to go off, start their business, and we don't necessarily want to think about the bottom line. So what's the 10 steps for the dummies in the end? I don't want to call us dummies, but because creatives are geniuses, but they're not necessarily business sensed. Yeah. What would be the 5 or 10 essential things that you think we should look out for?
Okay, I believe any business should start with a business plan. Most of the businesses for me that are successful have come from a business plan that has been written and they've followed it through. Right. Yeah, a business plan can change over time. So it's irrelevant what you've put down today. If you come up with a better idea later on, incorporate that into your business plan. If you follow your business plan, you're going to become successful because it's what you've written. It's what you intended to do. It was how you intended to make the money that you intend to make. Right. If it's written down, you'll follow it through. So a business plan is really important. My thing is keep receipts. You've got to get a receipt for absolutely everything. Right. And I have clients, especially food shops and stuff. Oh, I bought my stuff in the market. So what? Get a receipt. Yeah, you're entitled to receipt. Get the receipt. Every receipt reduces your tax liability. Right. So it's important that you collect those receipts so that we can submit them through your accounts. Yeah. What else is important? You've got to be on time. Now, HMRC have this.
I'm just getting my seat.
You've got to submit your accounts on time. I see far too many business owners just so lapsy-daisy about the fact that they've got to submit their paperwork to the government. When you don't submit it, you just put a red flag on top of you. They're watching you.
Okay, if you don't submit your paperwork.
Millions of businesses in this country, they can't watch them all. So they choose the ones they're going to look at.
Right.
Yeah. You know,
Okay.
we submit accounts and paperwork to the government, HMRC, all the time. Yeah. They can't look at every single document that comes to them. So they choose the ones they're going to look at. So they're going to choose the ones that submit late.
Right.
Why are you submitting your paperwork late?
Right.
We've given you ample time.
Got
Why
a
have you,
year.
why are you submitting it late? So, you know, if you submit things late, you then become a target for the government. Yeah. Don't be a target for the government. Doesn't make sense.
Don't be a target. That's the strap line.
It
Don't be a
literally,
target.
it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
And that. So it's important that you submit things on time, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That way, it just leaves you to
So
be
your
fresh
year
in
ends
mind.
April to April.
Yeah. Just make sure that you get it done and you submit it.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, there's no reason to be late. It's just important that people do things correctly.
The way that they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So during this period, we've had a pandemic that's just swept the world. No one expected it. I know I didn't.
No one saw that coming.
No one saw that coming. You literally, I didn't take it seriously at first, and I was just like, "Child, it's the flu. People get it all the time. You're gonna get the flu." And then I started to watch the world shut down. In your opinion, how has that affected small businesses, and what can we do to bounce back?
Okay, so businesses were automatically shut down,
Right.
and that with a day's notice pretty much from the government. But the government were very quick to respond to that and offer help and services to people so that they could continue working. So, you know, they gave out the SEI, SS grant, which is for self-employed people. They gave out bounce back loans. They gave out grants. They cut business rates, so nobody had to pay business rates for the whole year, and that they did a lot of things that were available to help businesses. Even though there's a lot of businesses that fell short and couldn't get those monies, but the bounce back loan was meant to help them.
Right.
And that. Yeah, all those things are out there and they're available.
So how do I go about getting the bounce back loan?
Okay, the bounce back loan, you need to apply through your bank. It's an online application and you need to apply through your business bank account. If you don't have a business bank account, you have to go and get a business bank account
In order to
get the
to
loan,
apply.
because they will put the money in a business bank account. They don't want to put it in personal accounts. So they're making individual if you have a business and you've been running it as a sole trader, they're going to make you open up a business bank account.
Okay.
And that a lot of sole traders have been putting their money in personal accounts because you run your sole trader business through your own personal name.
Yeah.
And that, so they've not bothered to get the business bank account, but it's important that they get that now if they want to get the bounce back loan.
Right.
They're online applications and there's they ask two major questions. Yeah, the first question, was you in difficulty at the 31st of December 2019?
No.
The answer to that is no.
Right. Yeah. Because COVID licked in
And
March, innit?
then they ask, are you now in trouble due to COVID-19? And the answer to that is yes. And if you answer those questions in that way, you can get the loan.
So what kind of percentages are they paying in terms of this loan?
Okay, so you're allowed 25% of your turnover.
Okay,
Yeah.
what does that mean?
Turnover is the sales, the income in your business. And
Not
that-
profit, but just
No, the
overall
sales.
sales.
Forget your overheads, just your turnover. The business sales, the business income that you receive, you are entitled to 25% of your trading income.
Right. Okay.
And that, so it's the cheapest loan you're going to get.
Cheapest loan you'll get ever.
Ever.
So
Yeah.
what's the percent?
So
what's the
currently
API in
it's
that?
2.5%.
Okay.
And that you don't pay any payments for the first 12 months, and the government is covering the first year's interest on that loan.
Okay.
and that-
I didn't realise they were covering the interest.
The first year's interest on that loan, hence
Okay.
why you don't have to pay it back
Anything for the
first 12
year.
months.
Right.
Yeah. So the day you get it is the date that you're going to make your repayment next year.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, and that's how
So
it
what are
works.
we saying to those who think, right, this is an opportunity for me to just get some free money and shut down the business?
It's not free money.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm adamant, the government have backed this scheme 100% with the banks.
Yeah.
And because of that, even if you closed your business down, I'm going to guarantee that the government's going to come for you and collect their money.
It's government.
Yeah, it's the government. They will
Yeah.
want their money back. They're not just going to give people money just like that without being able to account for it. So they will come for their money somewhere, somehow. There is a thing with limited companies that the any debts you have within your business belong to that business. So if you close your business down, therefore the government won't be able to come and get you for the money because the business won't exist.
I was watching Can't Take It, Will Take It Away the other day, and it didn't work out like that for someone. And I actually didn't know that they can do that. They went for her on her personal, went to her personal address, and she was like, "Well, I'm bankrupt, and it's it's with the business, and it's shut down." But something to do with the paperwork. And
Yeah,
they came
if
for
your
her
paperwork
personally.
ain't right, they can come and get you, and I'm
Personally.
sure the government will do exactly the same. You can't close down a limited company if you owe the government money. So if you owe HMRC money for tax, and then you try and close down your business, HMRC will put a pause on that closure.
Wow.
Yeah, so you're not going to
What,
be able
with
to
Company's
close that
House?
with Company's House. So you're not
They
going to...
can. Well, of course, it's government. I'm asking students.
Yeah, HMRC will, they will say, no,
Yeah, it's
this
government, they
business
can do what
can't
they like.
close down and that. And so you're then waiting till you have to deal with your issue with HMRC before you can close that business down. So if people think that they're going to run away from these bounce back loans and think, oh, I'll just close down my business, because the government's 100% backing it, as far as they're going to be concerned, you're going to owe them the money. And that, so they'll
Fair
stop
enough.
you from
I think-
closing the business
Yeah.
so that they can chase you for their money.
I think if you have got a business that you're passionate about and that you really want to see work, you take the bounce back loan in good faith and
use it
Use
correctly.
it correctly.
Use it to build your business.
Yeah.
I mean, the money's out there to help your business grow. It's used as working capital for you to make your business grow and, invest it within your business. Do not take the money and use it personally, because when it comes for your accountant to doing your taxes on that, that's going to end up on your self-assessment, and then you're going to pay a big,
You're going
huge
to pay your
tax
tax on it anyway.
Because
Because I'd heard people saying that they were going to use it to buy property and
which is
stuff like
fine
that.
if it's a business property, if you're doing buy-to-lets and whatever, that's a business. You're entitled to do that.
Okay.
You are entitled to do that, but you can't use it to just, I'm going to do it in my kitchen in my house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
enough.
because it's not there to do that. Because if you do that, when we account for it on your books, what's going to happen is it's going to be personal money to you, then you're going to end
You're
up
gonna
on
have
your
to pay your tax
self-assessment,
on it.
and then you're going to end up paying a big tax
Absolutely.
bill on it.
Well, we're going to have to wrap up because we're coming to a close. But I want you to tell the people where to find you. This section is sponsored by you and Daya Magazine. So I really want you to say Instagram, where can we find you on Facebook, what's your telephone number, email address, and...
Right, so we're actually a digital firm, so we're nationwide. You can catch us anywhere.
Ooh.
So we do, so you can catch me. My email is info@accountsnavigator.com. We have a Facebook page, Accounts Navigator. We have an Instagram page, Accounts Navigator.
Absolutely.
Our telephone number is 01992 714 010. Our website is www.accountsnavigator.com. Anything Accounts Navigator will pretty much bring me up. So, yeah.
Thank you for joining us, and we're going to see you again with some more topics on how to educate in terms of finance with our community.
Cool. Lovely.
Thank you.
It's diva choice. Every diva fi have a voice. Yeah, it's a diva's choice. Every diva fi have a voice. When me say, yeah, you could have black or white. Every diva fi have them choice. Yeah. This is diva choice. Every diva have a voice. I don't care if she's a diva. She's a nice and decent girl. Oh yeah, she's a leader. Real and down to earth now. How much is worth? She's a diva. Miss Independent, you know worry about her. She's a leader. She's a diva. Let me break it down. She's an empress with style and grace. Heads turn when she's in the place. Looking so elegant every time she walks out. Man always step on her case. Down to earth with an expensive case. Know what she's worth and proud of her race. Yeah. Money and fame is a thing she not change. Who not like it, me will tell them to them face. All diva them, we now watch on the size. Now watch the color of your eyes. me say, it's not about a your texture. Don't care if you walk or drive. Coulda in a dress or shorts where your body ride. In a bikini out on the beach side. Knowledge of self is the thing, she not this her thing. She's a queen that walks on with pride. I don't care if she's a diva. She's a nice and decent girl, oh yeah, she's a leader. Up front and down to earth now, how much is worth, she's a diva. Miss Independent, she no worry about rent. She's a leader. She's a diva.